Okay, yes, hello. Today I will be auditioning for Kankri and I am going to read Kankri's half of the first conversation you can ever get with him. The conversation between Karkat and Kankri. And excuse me, for one, if I stumble over words, and for two, if I end up going over the 2-minute time, because I just lose track and I'm trying to read this whole log. Now I realize we've been at this for some time already, but at the risk of derailing this dialogue that you initiated, and might I just say how thrilled I am that you did, Karkat, I would like to qualify my entire analysis of your Alternian culture by saying that, in contrast with life on Beforus, while your people may have been engaged in violent and lethal class struggle for millions of sweeps, by no means does this simplify that the Beforan way of life was entirely without problematic elements. Perhaps even more disturbing and insidious for their lack of acknowledgement and open discussion, particularly as a consequence of what in my view were widely and dismayingly examined systematic social injustices resulting from the entrenched power dynamics in play, dynamics strikingly similar to those on your planet's markedly more bellicose iteration, which has only served to fully vindicate my hypothesis that that such a hierarchy is predicted on intrinsic dysfunction, and to shift all the usual narratives and undiagnosed problems into an open, judgment-free discourse through which problematic issues are constantly channeled into more intelligently problematic avenues of discussion. Now, before I continue, it's only certain of me to warn you about my certain triggers that are suddenly ahead in this essay. I mean conversation. Triggers include, but most likely will not be limited to, class oppression, culling culture, violence against grubs, Lucius abuse, analogous hate speech, pale fillings, and slurries, lifespan shaming, ableist slurs, prolix dissertation. Actually, maybe it would be easier for you to list your triggers, and I'll do my best to avoid those topics or navigate them more delicately if at all possible. Trigger warning: oppression, culling, grub violence, Lucius abuse, homophobia, pales, slurries. Great. It sounds like you don't have any triggers. At least none that you know about. I'll proceed with caution, nevertheless. Just please let me know if you start feeling triggered by anything I'm saying, and we can take a brief time out while you summon your Moirail to help pacify you, assuming you have one. Not that I'm presuming you do, but I heard that you did. Is that correct? If not, I apologize. I further apologize if your orientation excludes this possibility as a paleromantic, pan-quadrant demi-romantic, something in a gray pale. Such, and hopefully you are not triggered by such presumptions of I cannot pronounce this word. Let's skip it. Language. It wouldn't be the first time I was guilty of such inexcusable microaggression, and I am not so oblivious to my own romantic privilege to believe that it will be the last time either. Word I cannot pronounce: microaggressions, realm privilege, presumptions, somewhere else. I'm glad I brought up the subject of unexamined privilege because it dovetails beautifully with the point I'm about to make regarding Beforan society and its savage umbral potentiality, which later manifested through all kinds of Alternian brutality you are too familiar with. Those in the higher echelons of the hemospectrum, such as the ceruleans or quote-unquote blue bloods, careful being loose with such terminology is opening the floodgates to a whole host of toxic sinus language and hemophobia. When addressing the challenges faced by those lower on the spectrum, such as the mid-hues, or in particular the caste like Umbers or Orcers or quote-unquote rust bloods, another problematic slur, highly problematic, and deeply offensive and triggering terminology, strongly imploring you would steer clear of this term. they would be well advised to check their cerulean privilege, particularly before dismissing any hardships or marginalization claims of oppression, which can be difficult for them to identify or empathize with from their advantageous position within the Alternian/Beforian power structures. Dovetail, problematic power structures, toxic sinus language. And some may argue in our peaceful utopian culture that we have freed ourselves from injustice and disparities and privilege in post-scarcity economy, largely equal rights distributed across the human spectrum, and therefore exist in a quote post-spectral world. Laugh out loud. And therefore there is no need to champion. There is no need to champion important social causes, and there is nothing left to debate. But really, nothing could be further from the truth. You really need to educate yourself carefully and investigate. Wow. According to my stopwatch, Never mind. Here we go. Please allow a brief pause while my browser fixes itself. No, I really want to voice the rest of this log, but I'm not sure if I should just end it here, or just keep going. Okay. My browser appears to be broken, so that was my Kankri, everyone. I really hope you liked this audition. Please consider me for the role. I would enjoy being considered very much. And I am sorry about the long ramble. Oh, wait a minute, it's Kankri, it makes sense. But no, seriously. It's just stuck there. It won't move. This audition is done, bye.